Hey, what's up? It's Comic 95, the Savior, and for this video, I kind of wanted to have an interesting discussion with you guys, and it's going to lead into another video that I've already recorded, but I wanted to talk about this on my own, because this was a topic that got brought up on a live stream that I did, but I also recently came across a viral tweet on Twitter that was discussing the topic of cheating. Now, I made a video that was supposed to come before this one, but I figured that I want to keep it balanced and make more sense, so I figured that I should record this video and have this one get published first, before I go into my little angry rant, so to speak. So I'm warning white people, you might not want to watch the next video that's on this topic. So, I first want to start off by talking about what that video was going to be about. I had an argument with somebody that disagreed with me on that, and as of the making of this video, I think the argument is still going on. I'm waiting for them to reply back to me. But I don't really want to argue with you so much here right now. Excuse my chair. I want to have a calm conversation and speak to you at a normal tone and just kind of explore the idea of relationships and faithfulness. Excuse me, I need some water. Yeah, I think that something that really bothers me is that people don't like to talk about cheating. And when people do talk about it, it's always the very radical idea of two different things. So I want to also say there was two different tweets that came out back to back about the idea of cheating. It might have even been the same day. Two different people though. I have a little flyaway hair. Yeah, sorry, I have my hair pulled back into a bun. Or a bun-ish like thing just to keep it out of my face. But yeah, people, and I'll make that a separate video within itself, but people have this idea that if you get cheated on, this will be another video, it's something for you to be clowned over and about. And that makes people want to keep the fact that they got cheated on to themselves. They don't want to share with other people about that experience. Obviously, it's bad. Who likes to share bad news? People normally like to talk about positive things. And when people do talk about negative things, they prefer negative things that are far removed from their personal life. For example, we love to talk about a negative experience at a restaurant or, on vacation or something like that. But when it comes to talking about ourselves, we want to tell you about how wonderful, great, and perfect everything is. And I mentioned that, even about my own YouTube channel, a lot of people don't know what to make of me, because when you go to YouTube and you see people making journal-like videos or vlog-like videos, it's always to highlight what's perfect in my life. Everything's great. My life is, fabulous. And then you come to my channel and I literally have a vlog showing myself in the process of getting evicted out of a share house with nowhere to stay and no job. So just crazy things like that. And so again, it's human nature for you to want to hide those things from people. But for me, it's I like being real open and honest because it's therapeutic for myself. It's helpful and inspiring to other people. Not to say that you want to have a bad situation like me, but you see that other people go through the same stuff, if not worse than what you do, and they're still able to survive and come out of it. Look at how far I came. As I mentioned to you guys, literally just a few years ago, I was getting evicted out of a share house for not wanting to be best friends with everybody inside the house. It was so weird. And then they had cameras up and they were spying on me and everything. And I go from that to now I have a penthouse in Shibuya, Tokyo, and this will be another video too, but I'm at the point where I'm getting backhanded comments and can't even say compliments or backhanded statements from both Japanese and foreign people alike. Now when I talk to people, I say I live in Shibuya. Oh, in a share house, right? No, bitch, I have my own place. Oh, with your husband, right? No, I live alone. Thank you very much. You see what I mean? Just little things like that. So, I'm not even gonna lie, that kind of makes me not want to get married for that reason, because then it becomes assumed, oh, you only have that because you're a husband. So, whole nother video. We're not gonna go there. But I'm going 5 minutes and haven't even gotten to the point. The other side is, when it comes to cheating, nobody wants to talk about the reality and why people tend to stay in these relationships even after being cheated on. And I wanted to kind of deep dive into that. And in order to do that, first we have to acknowledge how often cheating really happens. So my next video will be about that, but it will not be stated nicely. So I want to talk about it here. Statistically, it's estimated that 70% of people will cheat within their relationship. Maybe not all of your relationships, but you will cheat on someone, and more than likely within that relationship, because let's face it, cheating is common. It's just like lying. You can love someone to death and consider yourself to be, an honest Abe, a really honest person. But the reality is, you are going to come across a time and point where you are going to tell a lie. We all do it. We all lie. Like I don't think it's possible for anyone to know someone for a lengthy period of time. In fact, I'll say 1 year. I don't think it's possible to know someone for a year and go that full year speaking to this person on a regular basis and not tell a single lie. No matter how insignificant it might be, a lie is a lie. And so cheating is the same way. Most people, they love their partner so much, and they think that their partner just couldn't cheat on them because their partner loves them back the same. And that's 100% false. It's not true. You do not know what other people are doing when you are not around. You cannot control what other people do when you are not around. And people don't like to think about this. And statistically, that's proven true too. Only 5% of people think that their partner has or is even capable, as in they will cheat on them. Again, all backed up by statistics. I will have all of that stuff, for a blog post and video for probably tomorrow or a later date at the very least. But yes, really crazy. So despite how commonly people cheat, people don't think it happens very often. Everybody thinks that it can't be and won't be them. And then the other side that I want to talk about is that people don't like to talk about the reality for why people stay. So you get clowned and bashed for staying. People say, oh, it's because of the money. You're with a narcissist. You're whipped. You're a simp. You're whatever. Like, there's all of these negative connotations around you if you do choose to stay. And people don't think about the fact that there's a lot that goes into it. For starts, your emotional state. It doesn't matter whether you're married or in a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. When you've made a commitment to be with someone and to love them and to take care of them, and you have memories that you've made together, it is unimaginably hard to let go of a relationship that you've had for even, honestly, months. But especially when you talk about somebody that you shared years of your life with, you've built a family with, you've worked together, they've seen you go through labor in the hospital, they've seen you on your worst days, you've showered together, you've cried together, you've gone on road trips, vacations, traveled the world, all these different things. And to just cut that off and, have everything go because, they didn't honor their word, they didn't, stay faithful to me. And that makes sense. But everybody can't handle that the same way easily. And also, don't be fooled. A lot of people that act really strong and pretend like it didn't take much for them to cut that person off, it was really difficult for them to do. And I can use myself for an example. I think about my ex-fiance, and I actually had two. I didn't talk to you guys about this much. I shared this on Patreon. I've been engaged twice since I've been here in Japan. Yeah, you didn't know that. But my more recent fiance from 2020, I honestly did not love him at first. I didn't feel anything to him. And it started off with me talking to him. I was expecting to literally get my free meal and have a one-night stand with this nigga and be done. And I didn't expect to see him as an ongoing thing. And even when we had met, again, for the next few times, I didn't really care much. And it wasn't until, he told me that he fell in love with me that I even, considered him romantically. And I kind of, felt uncomfortable. I was like, me? Talking to the girl behind you, talking to me? Yeah, you fell in love with me? Me? Why? I couldn't understand it. And even after he expressed that, while I accepted, the position of being his girlfriend, I didn't really love him. I fell in love with him later on, but I didn't really care. And we had fights and arguments, and I thought we were going to break up at least 2, if not 3 different times during our relationship. And each time, it didn't really mean that much to me. Because I felt that, I had him wrapped on my finger, I could get him back, didn't really matter. And it wasn't until realizing, no, this dude is legitimately gone now, you're through, that it really dawned on me, hit me, I made a mistake. And I shouldn't have done that. And not to justify how he treated me or acted, in response to it. I didn't cheat on him, I had. But it hurt me a lot. And I was not able to recover easily. And during that time, I didn't want to do anything. I literally just lost it. I wasn't myself anymore. And people don't like to show that vulnerable side of themselves. They don't like to talk about that side of themselves. They want to pretend like, I'm a bad bitch, I can get anyone I want to and just move on. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I was dating shortly after that, and yeah, I did move on eventually, but it doesn't mean that I wasn't crying behind the scenes, and that I wasn't angry, and that I wasn't sad with myself and other people, etc. It took time to move on. Like, there's feelings involved. And this is somebody that I didn't even know for that long. I cannot imagine knowing someone for 15, 10, 20, even 5 years, and then just suddenly cutting them off and letting them go. It's not that easy. And so even if you do cut them off, it doesn't mean that you're not thinking about them and that you don't still love them. Like, there's feelings and emotions involved. And I more so want to talk about marriage, though. To get rid of a partner because they cheated on you, you have to consider everything. It's no longer just your emotions. Divorce costs money. It's not free. It costs money. It's a lengthy process and takes time. There are 2 separate, if not 3 families involved if you created a new one, which most of you will. And with that said, now you have to think about your children. And I know it's not fair, but we're not here to talk about, PC politics and what we think or how it should be. The reality is, when you get a divorce as a mother, you are the one that is stuck with the burden of deciding how are your children going to maintain their relationship with their father. And if you're not, a piece of shit as a mom, you should care about that instead of being like, well, if we want to see him, he needs to make an effort. That is true. I agree he should. But we're not here to talk about shoulda, woulda, couldas. You have to take responsibility, step up to the plate as the mom. And if he chooses not to do that, then that's his responsibility, his problem. But you need to focus on what you're doing. It's like, I can't think of the analogy to use, but basically, the pointing the finger type thing. Well, I might not be doing it, but look, he's not doing it either. Like, you know what I'm talking about? Like, that doesn't work in that situation. You're a mom. And the reality is, your children, when they grow up, they are going to learn and see what really happened. And they're going to look and see you as being the problem. You have to remember that your children's father is their dad, whether you let go of that man or not. I'm not saying for you to stay and put up with abuse or whatever else, but the reality is, you have a new responsibility to think about and put your children before yourself. And I think that it's absolutely selfish for people that don't do that. For example, I hate to put my family business out there, but I'll even use, my sister as an example. She has 2 kids, stupidly, never got married, stupidly, with the same father, stupidly. And she decided that she didn't want to marry him. Allegedly, he proposed to her or offered to marry her or whatever. She didn't want to for whatever reason. And I'm pretty sure he's a trashy ass dude, don't get me wrong. But it's like, why? This is where, again, Kevin Samuels is right. Why do y'all think that having babies is not that big of a commitment, but getting married is? So if you know somebody's a dog, a cheater, not serious, has family issues, why would you make a baby with them? And then your excuse for, I can't marry them because they're a cheater, their family don't like me. But you made not 1, but 2 black women. Okay, I'm sorry. We're not alone, but I'm getting on black people because I'm black. And it's definitely a much bigger problem in our community, whether we like it or not. It's true, statistics. But back on subject. Yeah, so it's like, okay, if that's not bad enough that you would do that, then to play mind games by deciding, well, since I'm in the military, I'm going to enjoy my military experience and travel around the world with your kids, not making it nearly impossible for you to have a relationship with your children. It's almost like you're trying to punish their dad for choosing, or, for cheating on you, so to speak. Like, you see what I mean? Like, it becomes a mind game. It's manipulative. You run off with the kids, and she's not stopping him from seeing, his sons, but now look at the extra hoop you got to jump through. It's no longer just booking a domestic flight to come see within the country. Now you are required to travel overseas and take extensive time off because you need at least 2 days dedicated to getting to Japan and another day dedicated to making it back home. Now, they're both in the military, it works out. I ain't here to tell her business, but I'm just keeping it real. Like, that's an example of, people being selfish. And there's somebody that isn't married. So, thinking of it from a marriage perspective and reeling everything back in, you have to consider how this is going to impact and affect your children. And the reality is, in most cases, when you do choose to get a divorce, you are severing and, ruining the relationship that your children are going to have with their father. That's just facts. In my opinion, sorry, that was my water bottle. that is the risk that you have to take with choosing to get married. I'm not saying that you have to stay inside of an awful relationship, do not get me wrong, but I'm saying that the reason why some people choose to stay and why you cannot just make split-second decisions and decide, fuck you, you cheated on me, I'm done with you. It's not that simple, because the cost of getting a divorce, the time it takes to get a divorce, the relationship that you could potentially be ruining with your children's father, having to now plan visitation and custody battles, and look at all the things you have to think about. And then for a lot of women, especially, even black women, you don't have degrees, you don't have a college education, you don't have real skills that can, give you gainful employment. Many of you don't even have jobs. Like, do you see the issue? And I'm not just talking about black women, women in general. A lot of you are in situations where your husband is either the sole provider, the breadwinner, or even if you work too, you might be looking at a huge pay cut. In fact, it's statistically proven that when couples get a divorce, I think it was like over 60% of women instantly fall into poverty. That means you are no longer making, what is the poverty income? I think it's like, less than 35,000, something. I don't remember what the exact numbers are, but you instantly become poor. And now you have children. You're hurting yourself. So this is not to justify saying why you should stay with a cheater. That's not my message. But I'm saying that... My mom's calling. I'm saying why you need to consider and think about these things. Give me 1 second, people. I gotta answer my phone. It's my mom. Okay, sorry about that. Got off the phone with her. But yeah. So I think that a lot of people, especially young people, don't think logically. They are just trying to protect their pride and their feelings, and they don't think about the financial aspect, the family aspect, and the bigger reality that I would talk about in my next video a little bit is leaving one cheater doesn't mean you're not going to end up with another one. Like I said, 70% of people. A lot of people turn a blind eye to cheating. And there's so many aspects that we can go into with this. So let's quickly say them, and then I'll talk about them in further detail later on in this video. But things that people don't consider is you can end up dating another cheater. And a part of dating another cheater is, or beyond just dating another cheater, that people don't think about is people cheating is just like people lying. Just as I can lie to you and you will never know it, I can cheat on you and you will never know it. Everybody that lies does not get caught. Everyone that cheats does not get caught. I lie all the time. I wouldn't say I cheat all the time, but I most certainly have cheated several times. And the weird thing about it is that people don't like, I want to say the weird thing. The thing about it is that I don't think I've ever cheated sexually within a relationship, but I've definitely cheated emotionally. I've definitely talked to people outside of my relationship. I've flirted with people. I've responded to people flirting. I literally had a guy hit on me, Nanpa style, in Japan, gave me his phone number, and I planned a date with this man. And I even gave him a hug. Total stranger, didn't know him, just walking down the street, and the dude stopped me hey, you're beautiful. I have to get to know you. And he had the exact same name as my ex-fiance. That's not the reason he's my ex, might add, but I'm just explaining to you. Did I actually have sex with him? No. Did I kiss him? No. I didn't do anything with him. But that was cheating, because I definitely would not have done that in front of him. I would never tell him that happened. Do you see what I mean? What I did was some sneaky, trifling stuff. It was wrong. It was bogus. It was deceitful. It was dishonest. And it's cheating. But depending on who you talk to, like I said before, cheaters don't like to be cheaters. They don't like to say that they're a cheater. They like to justify what they're doing. And you have that, goes off into other things like, with prostitution and things like that. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. I want to go back onto the topic of just leaving one cheater for another. You can pack up your bags with your pride and say, I'm done with you. You cheated on me. This relationship is over with. But, okay, what if your next boyfriend cheats? What if your next husband, you marry him and you find out he's been cheating on you too? When does it stop? When does it end? When do you decide, I'm going to have to sit down, put my big girl pants on, and we're going to have to work this out. We're going to have to talk about it. We're going to have to rebuild the trust. We're going to have to figure out, why do you feel the need to cheat? What am I not doing that's making you look for something elsewhere? Is everything perfect and you just need to experiment? What's going on? And I don't say this to justify, polygamy, or, or I forgot what the other term is for girls that have other partners. I don't support any of that trash. But I am saying that you have to accept the fact that cheating does happen. And it's normal, just like how lying is normal. Normal does not mean right. And that is something that a lot of people don't know. People oftentimes think that because something is normal, it makes it right. And that is a fallacy. It's a fallacious argument, meaning that it is something that is based on, unsound reason. It has bias attached to it. Something being old or traditional does not make it right, true, or correct. Something being tempting or something you seek does not make it right, tempting, or correct. Think about it. Most of us do not like the taste of carrots and broccoli and, what's the other one? Celery. What's that white broccoli? Cauliflower, things like that. It doesn't mean that those things are not good for you and that chocolate is now king because chocolate tastes delicious. Does it? Does it mean chocolate's healthy then because we all like it? No. It's not based off of what you like, what most people like, or most people even eat. Most people don't eat vegetables. Does that mean vegetables aren't good for you? Does it mean that you can live a good, healthy life without it because a lot of us live our lives never or hardly eating them? No. Does it mean that you're going to die because you don't? Not necessarily. But your body does need to have... God, my phone's blowing up. Your body does need to have vegetables. You need vitamins. You need healthy fruits. You need healthy food. It's good for you. It's not about exceptions to the rule. It's not about what you like. It's not about what you dislike. It's factual. It's good for you. It's healthy. You need it to be strong and healthy. Living does not mean that you are healthy. Just because you haven't died yet does not mean that you are in good health. Just because you cannot see your health problems or risks that you are taking does not mean that you are not in the process of slowly or quickly, bringing yourself there. So, aside from that, I think that people don't think about that. Like, people normally, and that's probably the first time you even thought about it yourself. Who's to say that after you leave that partner, your next one is not going to cheat on you too? And your partner after that as well. And for the ones that think, oh, well, I moved on, my next marriage is perfect. You're dumb. You don't know what your husband is doing behind your back. Most smart people have learned how nowadays cheating is easier than ever. Look at me, guys. I have 2 phones. I have this computer. Let me take off my case so y'all don't get on me. I have this computer. I have another tablet. I have another 2 phones inside of my suitcase. I can buy another phone. Do you see where this goes? I can make multiple accounts. I have a work computer. I have a work phone. Do you see what I mean? When does it stop? When and where do you decide that this person or, is going to be the only person going to cheat on me and the next one's going to be perfect? If I want to cheat on you, you'll never know about it. I got multiple devices. I can make multiple accounts. I can give you tons of reasons why I came home late. I can schedule things for the daytime to cheat. What makes you think that because I'm coming home at a decent hour and I'm seemingly spending all my time with you, that I'm not cheating? You can never be 100% sure. You can only trust your partner's word. You can take their word for what they're saying. But you are not there at all times of day. You don't know what they're doing and who they're with at all times, unless you are with them and there at all times. Which, if you're like most sane, stable people, you cannot do that. Your children, you don't know what they're doing and where they are at all times. You can put your children in school. You know how many times I've changed the schedule for the kids and we went out to the park for longer or shorter than we were supposed to? You don't know where they are, what they're doing. You just trust what I tell you we did for the day. And what they say we did for the day. We could have had a whole movie day and ate candy, which we've done before. You don't know that. The schedule says that we were doing math and science and social studies all morning. It's a matter of trust. I'm not trying to teach you to be distrustful, but I am saying that you have to recognize that for some things you have to put your pride aside and accept the fact it's likely going to happen, but how am I going to handle it? Your children are more than likely going to say some evil and hurtful things to you at some point. As an adult, it is up to you to be mature enough and, responsible enough and, the bigger person, so to speak, and to still love on your babies, even although they have hurt your feelings. We all know how brutally honest kids can be. Kid can walk up to you and be like, why are you so ugly? Why are you so tall? Why are you so fat? Why do you eat so much? Why is your skin so dark? Why are your eyes so light? Why are your eyes so big? Why is your nose so long? Like, you know what I mean? Like, just anything. They'll say whatever the fuck is on their mind. Don't even always mean it to be hurtful. But it's up to you as the parent to decide, okay, we're going to work on this. Don't say that. That's rude. Only say nice things. Don't have anything nice to say. Don't say anything at all type style. You know, black mama style. Doesn't mean you hate your kids and you put them before a doctor and be like, oh, fuck you, Johnny. I shouldn't have given birth to you. Like, you don't act like that. You know what I mean? You accept what they said hurt my feelings. It was offensive. It was rude. It was ignorant. But I love you. You're my baby. We're going to work on this. I'm going to discipline you and teach you why you don't do that again. I am not saying you have to act like a parent to your spouse, but to be honest, your spouse is actually supposed to come before your kids. So it's an even better reason for you to decide, I am going to work on this. As long as your spouse is not threatening your children's lives physically, sexually, or emotionally, it can be worked on. And even then, not with all of those things, but when it comes to things like discipline, there are going to be things that you might disagree on, and you can make compromises as far as that goes. Why? So many notifications. So, with that said, you have to think and decide for yourself. Am I going to be accepting towards this? Am I going to allow this person to just ruin my life and cheat on me? I'm not gonna, stand up for myself. That's not what I'm saying to you. But you have to be, mature and think, do I want to throw away everything because they did this one thing that made me upset? Think about it with your job. You've probably had days where you walked in and your boss went off and you was in a bad mood, or a coworker did it, etc. And you might think to yourself, well, I'm gonna quit this job tonight. I hate this job. I hate these people. I hate whatever. You can't do that. But you have to think about the consequences. The time you're going to spend not being employed. The difficulty of getting a new job. The inability to pay your bills. Those good reasons will more than likely keep you at your job, because you're going to have to think to yourself, how am I ever going to get by without enough money? How can I live like this? What am I going to do? And being childish and just being angry in the moment and saying, fuck this workplace, I'm done, I don't want to work for you anyway, F everybody. Yeah, it looks cool, you go out with a bang. But then it's like, okay, yeah, you might have kept your pride intact by not letting a customer treat you like trash, but now you're jobless and you have no money. Was it worth it? Probably not. Okay, likewise, yeah, sure, you get to storm off and show them a lesson that you ain't gonna allow them to treat you like crap and cheat on you. But now you're a single mother, you're broke and struggling. It's statistically proven that people that have children, or even that are divorced, you're seen as a curse in society. I don't make the rules, I play by them. It's significantly harder for a woman to remarry than it is for a man. Not to mention, statistically speaking, I can't remember what it was. I think it's like 60% of second marriages end in divorce. So the higher up you go in marriages, the higher up the likelihood of you getting a divorce than even the first one. Meaning that you were better off staying with your first no good cheating spouse than you were going to the next relationship. Not to mention, we're not talking about relationships where there's domestic abuse. We're not going to give all those hypotheticals. We're speaking on factual situations. And what I mean by that is, this is going to hurt some people, and I'm going to go there. I'm sorry. We're going to use abortion as a prime example. People oftentimes, I have mixed feelings towards this, I want to add. And this is really controversial for me to be saying, but hear me out. People always like to use the examples of things like incest, the R word, and things like that. But the reality is that results in a microscopic percentage of pregnancies in the overall scale. Most people that choose to get what's done, it's normally because they chose to carelessly have sexual intercourse. They were not using protection, because let's face it, everybody claims, oh, the condom slip, whatever. Them things are 99%, 99.9%, 99.8, whatever you want to call it, percent effective. Basically, extremely unlikely for that to have been the case. You more than likely didn't wear one, and you're lying to save face, because you don't want to admit that you did something stupid and careless. So it sounds a lot better to say, oh, the condom slipped up, Kanye West style. Okay. With that said, most cases you could have, both of you, it takes two people. I'm not putting all the blame on the woman, but I'm saying if you really just did not want to have children, you could have done something to keep that from happening, and you willingly chose not to. You decided that I am going to make a poor, reckless decision, and I'm going to have unprotected sex. And for starters, you shouldn't sleep with somebody you don't want to, get pregnant. This goes not just for women, but for men too. If you don't want a woman to have your baby, don't sleep with her, because you give up that right once you sleep with her. Now she has control; she can decide she wants to abort it or keep it. But we ain't gonna get into that. That's a whole other political video. I'm using this as an example for this conversation, and the reason why I use this as an example for this conversation is that it is a similar sort of thing. So anyway, what I was getting at is it's the same type of scenario. So people want to talk about, abuse, violence, blah blah. It's like, don't get me wrong, those things do happen, and I don't even have the statistics on that, so I'm not going to make anything up to you. And I imagine that does happen in high numbers. But the reality is, in my honest opinion, this is my opinion, not fact based. I have to research this in order to properly argue this. So I'm not going to lie to you. The majority of cases, the abusive part is the lack of trust, the lying. You were just a cheater. So I can't explain it to you. Basically, it's an unusual circumstance. Normally, the reason why you are leaving the relationship in this type of circumstance is solely based on the fact your partner cheated on you, it hurt your pride, they lied to you, there's trust issues, and of course there's risk. You risk them having a baby on the side, you risk them bringing home an incurable STD like herpes, or who wants an STD period? That's gross. So, yeah, and I feel like I understand both sides, just like how I understand with abortion. Like, people make mistakes, and everybody is not meant to be a parent. I don't believe in forcing people to have children. Like, look at how messed up this world already is. But at the same time, I also have to acknowledge the fact that the reality is most of the reasons why people need to get one is not because of these crazy extreme circumstances, like, the I word relationships or R situations, but rather careless and reckless behavior from you as a teenager or even, an adult, choosing to do dumb things, make dumb decisions, and then deciding I want to get this done. And I have mixed feelings. I don't know what my response is to that. I feel really indifferent. I don't want to honestly say that I want to say, because when you say you don't support abortion, it's like, oh, nobody supports it, but you should have the right to. Yeah, but I also believe in being an adult and accepting responsibility for poor actions that you make. The reality is, this goes for men too, and that's the biggest issue. The pressure is put on women instead of equally being placed on men. Men should not be sleeping with women and busting nuts inside of people they don't want to have, recreate with. But at the same time, as a woman, you should not be sleeping with a man that you do not want to father your children, or that doesn't want to father kids. So goes both ways. But again, the reality is the real truth of the matter is the life-threatening need for, having the A word done is not something very commonly done, for starts. And those situations that I mentioned already are not as common as you might think. They result in a very microscopic amount of actual pregnancies. But we're not going to talk about that. The reality is, when those cases do arise, my feelings are indifferent towards it. And the reality is, the overwhelming majority of cases where this does happen, it's a matter of poor choices made by both of you as partners, or lack thereof, both of you as formerly, partners. That's your fault. So in this case, you can choose the perfect partner. Normally people don't tell you, hey, I'm a cheater right up front. Although, of course, if you're using common sense, you might have seen some red flags early on if you were actually paying attention, had your eyes open. A lot of people are literally blindly in love and they excuse all of their partner's actions. They don't think they're capable of cheating. And then when it does finally happen enough, or when it does finally happen where they can visibly see it, then they decide, I'm done, I'm packing my bags. And you think to yourself, is it worth it? And so oftentimes, to make people's stories sound better, you end up with Amber Heard type stories. Everyone's like, oh, he argued me, he beat me, he did X, Y, and Z, to make their story sound better, not to diminish or downplay domestic violence and abuse. I'm someone that came from a messed up household like that, so I know it exists and it does happen. I'm a victim of these things myself. But at the same time, I also recognize that you have to think. Of course, again, like how I said, if you're ever in a situation where it's life-threatening or, physically or, abusive, actually, you know the word I'm trying to say, abusive towards you or your babies, then yeah, by all means. And in that relationship, don't worry about trying to keep ties with dad. You have every right to and good reasoning to. But the reality is that is not the case for most relationships. It's simply a matter of you having too much pride and you don't want to have to work on anything. And you don't want people to know that you were cheated on. You don't want to accept the fact that your partner either fell in love with someone else or wanted to get their needs met by someone else. So for you, it's better to just cut ties. And statistics are not in your favor. As a woman, it really isn't. You leaving that relationship, you're normally going to end up single for the rest of your life. You might get into a new relationship, but it's going to end in divorce too. And if you're one of the lucky few that doesn't happen to, more than likely you are still getting cheated on. You're just now keeping it to yourself and not telling other people. Or you think you're not getting cheated on, but you are. So it's a tricky situation. Like I said, I view it as the same way as abortion. Like, even if you want to be completely against it, you have to think about it. While people should be held accountable for their own choices and their actions, there are cases where people didn't have a choice and it wasn't their actions. There are also cases where, people are awful people and shouldn't have babies. And I don't like the idea of forcing you to give birth to a child. I think it's an honor and a right that should be had. So I don't like the idea of it. I also don't like the idea of babies being born into poverty. I think it's one of the most selfish things you can do as a poor person is have children. And people don't like the idea of the government regulating your ability to have kids, which I have mixed feelings on that. I'm not trying to have some sort of communist country. But at the same time, I think it's very careless. It's ignorant and it's selfish. And I'm sorry, minorities, I'm going to get on myself, black people in particular, we are huge on that. So many black women, they get together with a felon, they create a baby, your mom and dad are working at Walmart together, making a total income of $1,000 a month. They can't raise 3 kids on that in themselves. Food stamp babies, welfare babies. I don't like that type of mess. So, again, reeling it back in, we're not going to talk about that. I'm just using it as an analogy, as an example of my personal indifference towards the two. So, and this video isn't so much to talk about a factual argument, but this is more so opinion-based, my thoughts and feelings on it. And I did use some statistics that did make it a little bit credible, but I'm really explaining why I feel this way and not stating it factually that this is the case, so you need to do whatever. Again, I don't support staying in a relationship where you're unhappy, where you don't feel like your partner respects you anymore, but I do believe that you have to accept that people are human, bad things will and do happen, and you have to decide, are you going to always just keep getting up, jumping around, quitting every time? It's either like a job. It's just like a job. You can choose that every time your employer makes you upset, you're going to quit. And trust me, I know that all too well. But you have to think to yourself, in some circumstances, it's worth it to put up with it and decide, this is a shitty-ass company, but I need the money. It's not that bad of a work environment. My job is easy, my hours are short, whatever the case is, and decide because of that you're going to muscle through, stick with the company, and make it happen. And it's like, you have to think to yourself, is it worth it to work at a crappier company for less pay and longer hours? Or should I suck it up and realize, okay, I'm having a bad day, my boss made me upset. Yeah, I disagree with this, but there's all of these other things that I love about this company and about this boss. You have to view it the same way with your partner. Yes, your partner did you bogus by cheating on you, but do you really want to lose the income that they bring into the family? Do you really want to have to work full time and be the sole provider and have to figure out daycare? Do you really want your children to have a stern relationship with their father? Do you really want to go through all of this mess? Do you want to lose your partner in crime, the person that you spent all of your life building together with, the person that, you travel, vacation, all of those memories? We have to think like adults here, not angry high schoolers and junior high students. Big brain time, adult thinking. And a lot of people are not capable of doing that. And a lot of people just talk crap online. But how they really act and move in a relationship is totally different. And again, like I said, there's the blindness, the fact that people think that they cannot be cheated on, that their partner just loves them so much. And aside from that, like how I said, the trickier part is how it's defined. If you ask the average person, especially men, they will tell you that cheating is the act of having sex with another person. But it's like, no. Cheating goes deeper than that. Men will make up all the excuses under the sun. I've heard guys say that they don't think it's cheating when you're in a long-distance relationship, that, it's just phone sex, or, I'm lonely, it's just to meet a need, or, I paid for her dinner and I bought her gifts, so, she's basically an escort. Like, it's not the real thing. Like, there was no love and emotion involved. I gave her money. She gave me a favor in exchange. But as I say inside my video, I'll talk about further on about this in more detail, or kind of in more detail. If you wouldn't feel comfortable doing it in front of your partner, you wouldn't feel comfortable doing it in front of them and telling them about it before they find out on their own, it's cheating. You would not tell your wife, you know what, you suck, no pun intended, but you are awful at giving head. I would much rather pay that girl from around the corner $4.50 for an hour, get the best sloppy top. She can ride unlike you. She can do reverse cowgirl. She ain't got back rolls like you. She looks better than you. She's shorter than you. She's thinner than you. Everything you're not. I'm going to go bust my nut over there. I'll probably be back like around maybe 1 or 2 a.m. possibly. Why do I smell like women's cologne? Yeah, because she was kissing all over my neck. Why do I have makeup on my collar? Well, I already explained that. Yep, I effed her. You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't tell her who you're talking to on your phone. You wouldn't want her to read your text messages. You wouldn't want her to see your conversations. You wouldn't want her to hear them. You would want her to not know anything about these other girls if you could. You want to keep it to yourself. Why? Because you know it's morally wrong. When people are doing honest and good things, they don't feel the need to hide it. When you're telling the truth and being honest, you want to be open with your lover. We're not talking about just total strangers. This is your partner. You married them. Or at least your boyfriend, girlfriend. If you truly believe there was nothing wrong with what you're doing, you would tell them. But you don't want them to know. And the only time they'll tell the truth is if they find out on their own. How is that not cheating? If you wouldn't feel comfortable doing it in front of them, it's cheating. It's that simple. And because a lot of people act funny and they're like, oh, well, I just had oral checks. I just, paid this person for an hour. There's no feelings involved. I love you. I just want to get this. You can make up all the excuses that you want to under the sun. It's still cheating. I gave the example in that video. I used a test for an example. Copying answers from someone is still cheating. You don't have to have them actually physically circle and fill in the letters for you and say, okay, this is A, circle B. No, you're getting your answers from their paper. Sure, they're not physically the ones writing the paper for you, but they're telling you what the answers are. You're looking on their paper, or they're whispering in your ear, hey, this one said. And because of that, what is it called? Cheating. Yeah, that's right. Doesn't matter whether you paid her or not, whether it was out of, spite for getting revenge or whatever the case was. So, yeah, it's really messy, something to really think about. And I think that a lot of people, again, they're not mature enough to have this conversation without it becoming super political, like how I even said about, abortion. I know that that's a huge one right there. And like I said, my feelings towards it are very indifferent. But I feel the same way towards cheating. I view it the same way. My natural reaction is to say, okay, I'm done with it. You cheated on me. Just like with abortion. My natural reaction says abortion's wrong. You shouldn't do it. It shouldn't be legal. But then when I take a step back and I'm like, do you really want to force crazy people, bad people, that, or poor people that are going to end up with a child in poverty and starving and hungry, and they're going to take out their anger on a kid and beat them? Do you really want these ghetto hoochie mamas to be forced to have babies? No, I do not. No, I do not. I am an example of somebody that should have been aborted for several different reasons, but we ain't going to talk about that. So with that said, I have mixed feelings towards it. And without throwing in all the little crazy percentages of, the microscopic less than 1% of cases where it comes from the R word or the N word, the I and the N word, the I word or the R word or something like that. Those are rare circumstances, very rare. Those are not the case I'm talking about. I'm talking about just everyday stuff. I don't like the idea of poor people being forced to have babies. I don't like the idea of people that don't want kids to be forced to have children. Because the reality is most people are not going to give their baby up for adoption. They're going to end up keeping it for themselves. I also don't like the idea of forcing children into orphanages and whatnot. Because while in one sense, I don't like the idea of, never experienced love, whatever type thing. You have the rest of your life to be an adult. And by then, I'm sorry, you need to get over it. Gives a fuck. My parents might as well put me inside of an orphanage. So I feel where you're coming from about, the lack of love and, not knowing who your parents are. There's some things that I can't fully understand. But I understand it, but I'll never be able to truly feel it because it never happened to me. But with that said, at some point you have to suck it up, become an adult, and be like, okay, well, I'm grown. Now I have the option to make my own family, build my own life for myself. But the reality is, I don't like the idea of forcing children to go through that. And for that reason, I don't know. I really don't know. I'm literally leaning towards both ways. I believe in having responsibility for your actions. You make a horrible mother, you don't have money for kids, why are you fucking people? Why are you fucking people that ain't got money to support and raise children with you? You're a dummy. For men, same thing. You don't want her to have a baby? You mad that she didn't get an abortion? Why are you busting nuts inside her, you dummy? You gave up your right then and there. And sorry, using the condom, saying, well, I used the condom, so that... No, that's the risk you took. It's just like skydiving. You sign papers and waivers and whatnot. You generally cannot sue the company if you died because you made a mistake, your parachute ain't open, whatever the case is. You took on that risk. When you get surgery done, they normally have you sign tons of paperwork saying that you cannot sue the hospital if XYZ happens. Yes, they are responsible for botching up your surgery, but guess what? You signed paperwork. It's pretty hard to go around it. If you were to die, you are responsible. You decided to take the risk. You decided, I want to fix this cosmetic issue. I want to fix this, life-saving, life-altering, whatever issue you have going on. And you decided, I'm willing to sign up and take this risk and trust and put my life in your hands. And if things don't work out, it's generally kind of hard to win a lawsuit against these places. You see what I mean? So I view that as being the same way. But we're not talking about that in this video, but we're really talking about the topic of cheating. And what I was getting at was, statistically, you are giving yourself lower chances of getting married to someone else in the future. You're ruining your children's relationship, and the likelihood of you getting a new boyfriend or a new husband is also slim to none to begin with. Because most men don't want somebody else's damaged, used goods. Ain't my own words, not my own opinions. I'm just telling you facts. Most men don't. Shoot, I can tell you for myself, so I guess I can't use my own opinion. Even as a woman, I don't want to marry a man that already has children by somebody. I don't even want to marry a man that's been married and divorced. Why would I want a man that's already experienced those things? Why would I want a man that I know is capable of ending a legally binding committed relationship? Why would I want that? There's literally no reason for me to choose you. Why would I do that to myself? Do you see what I mean? I have better options. I'm young, I'm childless, I'm single, I've never been divorced, never had an abortion. Why would I want a man that's had all of that crap? Look at all the baggage that you come with. And you ain't got no money? I have other options. Okay, a man will think the same way. Why would he want a woman that already has 3 kids, has been divorced, your body not what it used to look like, your pussy ain't what it used to be like literally everything about you. And now, because you have children, there always needs to be another man somewhere involved. Men are a lot more prideful. And when they get jealous, it's more anger-based than how it is with females. Females compete based on looks. Men don't like the idea of sharing their partners sexually. And they don't like feeling inferior in the financial or educational realm either against other men. So we ain't gonna get to that in this video. All I'm saying is you have to think about it. Do you really want to end your relationship for something that's going to probably happen in the next one anyway? Do you really want to potentially set yourself up to never get married again? And you're going to stay single and miserable. And if you have your children already, I guess, just be a mom, just raise your kids, just go to work and never have a day off, just slave away, have to worry about daycare, have to worry about bills, etc. Or would you rather work it out with your partner? And no shade or judgment either way it goes, but I'm just saying the reason why it is not that easy. Because there's emotional ties to your partner. There's emotional ties for your children that you have to think about that you're cutting off too. I cried my eyes out. It took me a long time to accept. I think it was maybe, I don't know, definitely it took at least about a month, if not longer, for me to truly get over the fact that my parents were legally separated. Like, there was a lot that was going on. And it was hard for me, which made it hard on my mom and, hard on my dad. So it's a lot There are custody battles. DCFS got involved back then. Now CPS. Like, there's so much stuff that you have to consider. It's not that easy. And if you are someone that can make decisions that easy, you're a very immature person. I'm not saying that by not staying that you're immature, but I'm saying that if you're someone that can just quickly make up your mind like that without thinking about all of the outcomes, all of the things that you're risking, it's no different than someone quickly choosing to quit a job because their boss made them mad one day. Everyone said that they wanted to do it, and some of us have done it, like myself. But the reality is, under most circumstances, you really just need to take a step back, cool off, take a deep breath. You really made me angry. I want to quit. Let me just get through the shift. I'm going to make it. I'm not going to quit. Like, you know what I mean? And I feel like relationships kind of have to go the same way, because it's just like lying. Are you going to drop all of your friends and family because you found out that they lied to you? Because if that's the case, you ain't going to have no friends and no family, because everybody around you has lied, and more than once. We all lie. We can't help it. It's human nature. We are all sinners. We lie all the time. Cheating is actually another form of lying. It's being deceptive and deceitful within a relationship. We all do it. You might be honest about never having sex with somebody while you're with somebody else, which I can be honest, I don't think I've ever done that, have I? I don't know. I don't think I have. I definitely haven't done it since I've been in Japan, I don't think. But you know what I mean? Okay, sure. But if we talk about cheating, like as in just cheating in general, which most people don't like to talk about that version of cheating, most of us have also cheated ourselves and have been cheated on by someone else. It's nearly impossible not to. If you're looking at fapping off and thinking about somebody in a sexual way, it's cheating. You flirt with somebody, it's cheating. You're entertaining somebody you know is trying to flirt with you, it's cheating. You meet up with somebody, having dinner, secret meals, secret meetings, secret outings with another person, it's cheating. Anything that you're doing with a partner of even the same sex, if it's going down that route, paying for it, whatever the case is cheating. You can try to butter it up and put some sugar and whipped cream on top to make it sound sweet and to stop it from saying as bad as it is, but it's cheating. Doesn't matter whether you pay, doesn't matter whether feelings or emotions were involved. It is cheating. When you said your vows, you did not say, with the exception of me choosing to sleep with other, you know what's, and paying for it. That wouldn't have been acceptable. You would not come clean to your partner willingly on your own without there being tears involved and apologies. Because if it was nothing to it, if it wasn't cheating, you wouldn't have to say I'm sorry. You wouldn't have to be crying. You wouldn't have to apologize. You would describe it just as hanging out with a friend. Do you apologize to your wife because you have male friends? Maybe if you stayed out with them for too late and made her think you were cheating or dead or something. But more than likely, you're not going to say, I'm sorry, I should have given up my friends before I married you. I don't know what I was thinking. No, you're not going to do that. I'm like, damn, chill, bitch. I was hanging out with the boys, cracking open a cold one. You just have a normal conversation, be a little bit pissed. Like, dang, hold off, calm down. I have a social life. You would not be that way, without trying to be deceitful, that is, if you were to be confronted about another girl you were seeing, though. That would change everything. So, it's a really, messy situation. So you have to think about it in financial sense, legal sense, family sense, and for yourself. Because the reality is, part of why you recreated these other beings, you wanted a partner to be with you. You got married for yourself. One day, this is why your partner comes first. Your children are going to grow up someday. They're going to go off and make their own families. And while your children will always be related to you, whereas your partner is only related to you, legally on paper, and your children are your blood, your partner is all you truly have. Your children will go off married. Look at myself. I'm living in a completely foreign country. My parents have health problems, but I'm not there to help them. I can send them some money if I choose to do that. But I have to be my own adult, my own self. It's my job to go out and build my own family and start my own life. Do you see what I mean? I will create my own family, and my children will have their own children, and they'll choose where they want to live. Do they want to go back to America? Do they want to go to the UK maybe? Do they want to go to Korea? Those are things for them to consider and think about. I cannot control them. I can influence them and tell them I would like for them to stay in Japan with me, or I would like for them to move to New York with me, but I cannot make them go anywhere. It's their choice. Who they choose to marry is ultimately their choice too. I can try to influence them and tell them what I think they should do or shouldn't do. But that is ultimately a decision for them to make. I have limited influence over them. And so what I'm trying to say is, you have to think about yourself and your future. You want somebody to live with. You want somebody to retire with. You want somebody to die with. Are you going to give all of that up because you think you're perfect? You are a cheater yourself, so why can't they cheat? And again, I don't want to be cheated on. I don't like being cheated on. It makes me angry. It makes me sad. It hurts me. And yes, my natural reaction is to end the relationship. And I've done that before. But you also have to think, is it worth it? Sometimes, yes, but not all the time. Especially not when you've been together for a long time and you've built so much. Some things are worth forgiving. Nobody likes liars. When we find out that a friend or family member has lied to us, it's our natural reaction to want to cut them off. But you have to think, do you really want to cut and sever all ties with all of your friends and family because they told you a lie? Or can we work to regain and rebuild trust? Can we work to move forward and think about the good, the positive things within this person, the positive things about that relationship? Can we think about the reasons why we liked this person? Can we think about the good times and the good things that we've done with this person? Can we think about why we want to forgive them? What we're going to be missing out on. Because we have to remember too, as I said, you can choose to leave them behind, but can you really replace them? Because beyond just being cheated on, you're now going out into the world looking for another partner that's going to treat you the same, if not better than that person. And the reality is, it doesn't always work that way. You might find a new husband. Is he going to make the same money? Is he going to treat you the same or better? Is he going to have the same time for you? Are you going to have the same things in common? You're dealing with a completely different person. You're going to have to relearn everything, get used to these differences, and get used to somebody that probably, honestly, isn't as good as a partner as your last. It's easy to pretend to be happy on camera for money and views, but how do you really feel? You have to think about that. Don't let your pride or other people's thoughts and feelings make that decision for you. Is it worth it in the long run to be single for life because you don't have the ability to forgive your partner and move on? And off of that, a bigger part of what that conversation was on Twitter was talking about how men stay more often than we think. But that's what I was getting at. Doesn't matter if you stay in a relationship if you're just going to cheat back and treat your partner like crap in return. Sure, your man might stay, but if a part of him staying is him having to get revenge back, nothing was really solved or healed. Or if part of him staying is now your sex life is, trash and you all don't do it together anymore. You're not sleeping in the same room. You both have your side pieces. You guys are at each other's neck. You guys don't trust each other. Y'all gotta have each other's passwords. Like, you start doing all this type of crazy stuff. You might as well just be single. You living like it already. You don't live together. You're not having adult relationships with each other anymore. Like, everything's just completely changed. You've become abusive, whether it be verbally and or physically. I'm supposed to pat you on the back for doing that? Okay, and you might as well have broken up. You're not acting like you're in a relationship anymore. You're only married on paper. You're only married and staying together on paper at this point. It's not the same thing. So, again, like how I said, cheaters don't like to be called cheaters. They justify what they're doing, and cheaters are not honest. And that's why it's estimated that 70% or even higher. Because you can never get people to honestly tell you how often they have or have not cheated. Why? It's like asking somebody how often do they lie or if they've lied. How many people are going to be honest about whether or not they've lied? If you ask anybody when's the last time you told a lie, they'll say something way far back. Like, I've never told a lie. I never lie. Maybe 1 year ago. Bitch, you lied this morning. People lie all the time. We're human. We do it. It's truth. It's the truth. And again, something being normal doesn't make it right, but it is normal. It's normal to cheat. It's normal to steal. It's normal to lie. They're all normal. People do it all the time. When you took that extra sample, when it says take one, when you took that body wash and shampoo from the hotel, when they didn't tell you to take it home, you know what I'm talking about? Like, just little things like that. When you took that pencil, that mechanical pencil from your friend that you really liked and you knew they were looking for it. We do it all the time. It's normal. Most of us have done it. Nothing's ever true for everyone. But it's normal. Normal meaning that it's average, something that happens all the time. But normal and average doesn't mean right. Lying happens all the time. Does it mean that lying is now right? No. It just means that we have to accept it's a part of life. Cheating happens all the time. Does it mean that cheating is okay? No. But it's also a part of life. You have to decide. Is it worth it to throw away my entire career relationship because of one or two slip-ups to potentially be single and miserable for the rest of my life because I have too much pride to just forgive you and accept the fact that, hey, look, I've cheated too, actually? Is that what you want to do? If you want to, then by all means go for it. But I'm telling you, the other side that you have to think of as an adult. What are you going to do? And unfortunately, as a woman, the big burden is left on you because you have to decide not just emotionally, but financially and for your children and your future. What are you going to get in the future from this? Is it going to have been worth it? So it's a tricky, deep conversation to be had. There's lots of sides to it. And I see it the same way as abortion. There's lots of sides to it. It's easy to say from the outside looking in, you cheated me, I'm done. It's easy to say from the outside looking in, be more responsible. Don't F people. You don't want to get pregnant. But when you really strip it down without using the crazy statistics like, oh, well, women getting battered by their husband. Not that doesn't happen. And that definitely happens much more often than people getting R'd and pregnant or I and pregnant. But you get what I'm saying. The vast majority of cases, it's just a matter of pride and trust. When it comes to pregnancy, it's just a matter of financial or, a manipulation tool even. There's a lot to it. It's not black and white. I don't have a definite answer for either. I feel like it's something that has to be taken on a case-by-case basis. You cannot just flat out say, if you get cheated on, you're done for staying. There's plenty of reasons to stay, actually, that are pretty logical, like how I just said. But there's also logic in choosing to leave. Why would I want to risk myself again getting an STD? Why stay with a partner that doesn't respect me? Because the reality is, for most cheaters, if you forgive them, they're going to go ahead and do it again. They're not going to stop. So there's a lot to think about there. I mean, there really is. You could play devil's advocate in this forever. But that's my point, to say that you are not selfish or a coward. And the selfish side being, you're not selfish for cheating because it's human nature for us to all do it. We've all done it. And while in one sense, I'll actually take back what I say, retract a little bit. It's selfish to a degree. But it's also not selfish in a way too. Because for a lot of people, especially women, we oftentimes cheat because we're not getting our needs met. And so we're not being selfish per se, but rather we're trying to get equal treatment and get the same thing that you're feeling. Whereas for men, I can say the same thing for them in another sense as well too. I wouldn't quite exactly call it selfish when you have a wife who's withholding sex from you. Well, he's trying to get his needs met from someone else that will, since his wife won't. I wouldn't quite exactly call that selfish. Do you see what I'm saying? So, I can go on forever talking about this. This video is over an hour, but there was so much to be said, and there's a lot to, think about and, ponder on, and I just wish that more people would be open to the dialogue of having that conversation about what is cheating. And people don't like to talk about that. They want to say that these things are not cheating because they don't want to look bad. Just like people that, smoke weed. And this is going to start a huge controversy, but hey, we talked about abortion already, so we can go into this too. Nobody wants to admit that they, do drugs. Nobody wants to say that they do, they're crazy, they have a problem, they have an addiction. So people will convince you, I'm not addicted to, this drug or, this whatever. I don't have a problem. I can stop whenever I want to. It's not the same. It benefits. How many of y'all sick and need it for any of those reasons? Hardly any of you. Quit lying. You have an addiction. You have a problem. You're a sheep. You have purposefully sought out information that will feed your bias and tell you that this is good for you. Likewise, people that are absolutely against it and hate it, you can say, well, they're being biased too. They find information that feeds to the fact that it's good for you, whatever. There are people that believe it's okay to do while you're pregnant. We ain't gonna get into all of that crap. It's not for this video. But my point is basically, people don't like to be wrong. People don't want to hear that they're a bad parent. People don't want to hear that they're making a mistake. People want to think that what they're doing and what they believe is right. And so they will look for and search for information, evidence that supports whatever their claim is. That's factual. It's the truth. People want to be right. Some are more desperate to be right than others. People don't like to admit that they have a problem. So it sounds better to just say, I didn't cheat. I exercised my options. Or I needed to just switch things up a bit. I was bored. People don't like to take accountability. People like to be held accountable when they're being praised, not when they're being scolded. Then it becomes somebody else's fault. It's not my problem. Or she should have done, X, Y, and Z. He should have done X, Y, and Z. Like, they don't want it to be put on themselves. They want other people to share the responsibility or to take it. Nobody wants to be the only person being pointed at, like, you're the bad person. You should have done X, Y, and Z. They want it to be shared. It makes them feel better. So, yeah, I mean, it's a lot to think about. It's something that you really have to decide and think of as a family. Think of alone. Think of for yourself. Because everybody from the outside will normally tell you, let them go. It's easy. Move on. You deserve better. You'll get better. But that's not the truth for most people. Most people won't get better. Not that you don't deserve it, but you won't get better. That doesn't mean stay with a crappy, cheating, trash partner that will never respect you. But it is worth trying to make it work out. Trying to work it out. It's better to try than to never, do anything at all. And just decide, you did one mistake, I'm done. Because that's Japanese style then. Because with Japanese people, you make your partner mad. They through with you. You're not perfect either. So again, like, when does it stop? You go to the next relationship, they cheat, you leave too. Next one, they cheat, you leave too. And don't just think that, like I said, it goes deeper, because it's not just a matter of the so-called cheating. Now you're just playing a game of, if I catch you, then I'm done. But as long as I don't see you doing it, then I'm going to turn a blind eye and be like, nope, nobody's cheating on me. I didn't see it. I can't see it. They didn't cheat on me. I didn't see it. No. I caught you. Are you cheating? Okay, now we're done. Like, so you ignored all of those other years and days and months and weeks. But now when I have proof that you cheated, because now we have the red lipstick stain on your white blouse, dress shirt. Now I have the proof that I needed. But all of those days when you were coming home late randomly and you had all these random business trips and you came home smelling like soap, like you just took a shower, don't question any of that. But now that I have proof, now I can say that you're the cheater. And then look at the people that do it clean and smooth, that never get caught. So you're literally living underneath the illusion that because my partner seems to beat me at all times, seems too good, too nice to do whatever, they did not cheat on me. They're trustworthy. That's a dumb argument to be had. That's why I say you have to think about it. Same thing goes for lying. You could be the best of friends with somebody and find out something that was really small. Wait, you're not Canadian. You were American all this time? Like, what the fuck you lying and say you're Canadian? Like, just weird shit like that. What was the purpose of lying about it for? It's still a lie, is it not? Now you can decide, I'm done with it. Or maybe it's a big lie. Maybe you had a friend, I don't know, pretend to be a race that they're not, or, pretend to be into something that they're not, or pretend to have a job they didn't have. Like, whatever the case is, you have to decide. Do I still like this person as a friend? Do I still enjoy hanging out with them? Do I still enjoy talking to them? Yeah, some trust is definitely lost. But can't that be worked on and rebuilt? So, I'm done. Again, we're just going around a loop. I'm just saying something for you to really think about. Do you really want to let everything go because you've been lied to and or cheated on? And I think it's natural, normal to want to do that. But should you do that? Is it worth it to do that? And I feel like there's a lot to be considered. So that's it. Please share your opinion down in the comments below. Do you think it's worth it to stay with a cheater? Yes or no? Or better yet, would you be, when I say stay, I don't mean like force things to work indefinitely and just allow them to do and just keep, being like, oh, say you're sorry. Okay, I forgive you. Listen, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like work on it and try to make it work. And then if it does not, then let it go. Instead of being like the average person, it's like, oh, you cheated, we're through, done, divorce. That's what I'm really getting at. And a lot of people do that. So, and more so the clowning of people that don't do that. And people, from both sides. So people that, choose to try to stay and make it work, they get clowned for doing that. But at the same time, it's also kind of stupid for you to just immediately pack up your things and go and move on, with your life. Because you're more than likely not going to get something back like what you had. The good part of that, what you had. So, We're not talking about the hypotheticals, again, like I said, of being abused or having, a broke man, but having a man that literally has everything perfect, physically, financially, good to the kids, just so happens to have cheated on you. Like, do you let everything go because of that? Because he broke his vow as far as that goes. And if we really think about and evaluate, you have likely cheated on your partner too. And even if you have not, you've likely done it to someone in the past that you have dated. So that's it. Like I said, please leave a comment down below. Give me your 2 cents. What do you think? What would you do? What has your experiences personally been? And like I said, I feel indifferent towards it. And there's more than two sides. There's different ways of viewing it and rationalizing both choices. As I said, cheaters oftentimes don't learn their lesson. They keep doing it. And by forgiving them, it can also be a past in their mind. Like, oh, they're going to stick around even if I cheat. And at the same time, letting them go, you're lowering your chances of actually ever getting married again in the future and ruining your children's relationship and putting yourself in poverty. So there's a lot to think about. So yeah, like even if you are working full time, you have a good salary, you are now cutting a lot of that salary out that your partner was providing, more than likely. Again, I'm speaking based off of normal hypothetical terms and not extreme hypotheticals where it's like you were the only one working and your husband didn't have a job. Well, we're not talking about those type of things. So even though those are realities too. So that's it. Again, leave a comment down below, share your 2 cents, tell me what you think. If you agree or disagree, I want to hear it. Please be respectful. You can disagree with me without being rude and disrespectful. I'm not being rude and disrespectful towards you. Excuse me, so please do the same for me. Same thing goes for other comments that you might see. Like, you can be respectful, and when you disagree with people, you don't have to be rude and nasty. Other than that, if you enjoyed this video, please consider watching one of my other videos. You can go to my YouTube channel's homepage. I have other rants and journals like this. I upload videos mostly talking about Japan, and things loosely related and based off of life here in Japan. Yeah, I have several playlists on everything from, working, studying, dating, living in Japan. And on top of that, you can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Comic95. I have a Snapchat and TikTok at Comic the Savior. I have a Facebook fan page at Comic95 the Savior. And yeah, I think that's just about it. I have my blog at comic95.com. The links for everything are down in the description box below. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a comment, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. That will be it for this video. Thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.